Hello guys, Lauren Gordon here. This is going to serve you well. This is an audio clip. There's no video in this. This is simply an audio clip that is going to help you. It's going to serve you, inspire you, motivate you, help you see what's possible, help you gain clarity. It's going to do either one or many of those things today here. So this is for you. What my team has done here is they've gone in, they have grabbed a clip from one of our most recent coaching calls from inside of our Stories That Sell program, where you can actually listen to me coach one of my clients and solve a specific problem that they were having in their business. And the reason why I wanted to start doing this was a couple of things. But first is, do you ever feel like in this industry, I think in the, kind of in the coaching space and the online industry, some people are really like secretive with, what goes on behind the scenes. Some people aren't willing to like show the general public like more about their offerings, and they want to keep it all hidden and all kind of, behind the paid wall, so to speak, right? I was thinking, and I'm like, you know what? Most of my people who end up becoming my clients and come into my world, like, they just want to really feel into my energy, their energy, and see if it's a match, see if there's synergy. And if there is, then that's really all it takes to know whether or not I'm the coach for you, to know whether or not I'm the mentor for you, right? So I just thought, okay, why don't we just start grabbing clips from my coaching calls with my clients, and you can listen, you can learn, you can get inspired, you can take notes, you can do whatever you want with these clips. But this is to help you first and foremost. Number two, it's to really just show you behind the scenes and just be transparent and be like, hey, here's what the coaching calls are like. Here's a specific scenario of me coaching my client. You can just listen to my coaching style. You can get a real feel for what it would be like to be on these calls. Be on these calls, be coached by me, get help growing your business. Like, you can literally see what it would be like for real, instead of just guessing and wondering, right? Because I like my clients to come into my world with the utmost clarity and empowerment and confidence and excitement. And I believe the best way to do all of that and create all of that is just to show you what it would actually be like to work together. So that's the point of these clips. And today you're going to, like I said, see a behind the scenes sneak peek of a clip from one of our most recent paid coaching calls that my clients came on. And you're going to hear me actually work with one of my clients specifically on a problem that they're having. And you yourself can learn, like I said, take notes, get inspired, feel motivated, feel confident. That's the point of this. So go ahead, listen to this audio clip. And then at the end, your next step, if you feel like my energy is something that you need in your world, that you want in your world, if you like my coaching style and all of that, you will have the opportunity to click a link somewhere around this video to apply for our Stories That Sell program and become a part of what we call our STS family, where I show my clients how to grow their coaching businesses through attraction marketing principles and sharing their authentic stories with the world and getting their message out there in a clearer, more confident way. So if that is what you are looking to do right now, then the program would be a perfect fit for you, but it is by application only. So you can send in your application at the end of listening to this audio clip if it is something that resonates and you want to come into my world and become a client and come onto these calls. I would love to serve you. So that's it. So go ahead and listen to this audio clip and learn, take notes, do whatever you want to do, get a feel for my coaching style, and then apply for a spot to come join us in the program at the end if you feel called. All right, enjoy this, and I will talk to you on the next video. Bye, guys. What is your top goal for this year? I know it's hard. I know it's always hard to just pick one. What is a top goal of yours this year?
Anything? Like,
Yes.
I have a financial goal.
Okay,
Right.
go with that.
Okay. So I have a financial goal of, I'd like to earn $150,000 this year.
Okay. Now, what are off the top of your head? Do not allow yourself space to overthink,
Okay.
overanalyze, second guess, none of that. What are all the reasons you believe you cannot have that?
Oh. Reasons I believe I can't. Well, my audience isn't big enough, and or they're not the right people, that they won't pay what I want them to pay. They think I'm too expensive, so I'm not reaching the right people. I was nervous for a while because I'm targeting women, and I thought, well, maybe that's too narrow. Maybe I'm missing my audience. there's a little bit of my time isn't scalable. So, you know, is that reasonable?
That's
a
a
lot
good
of
start.
it's around my audience. Like a lot of my fear is around my audience. Like maybe I'm not talking to the right people.
Okay.
And I'm in
Now-
Minnesota and I feel very isolated. Well, we all feel isolated right now, but I'm in Minnesota and it's, you know, you're just locked up here, but I need to reach an audience across the US and I've never done that before.
And this is why we have the internet.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, the reason, does anybody know why I asked you that? Did any of you think I was going to ask that? Because what most people do is they set a goal and they go, okay, let's reverse engineer it. Let's work out the actual plan step by step on how to get there.
Yeah.
Right? That's how most people set goals. Now, what happens when you set goals that way and when you try to map out your goals that way is you get going and you take the first action step toward the goal and then the second and the third and the fourth, and you're going and you're going and you're going, and it's all great until one of those thoughts pops into your head and puts up this huge barrier. And you've already built up this momentum to where the barrier feels extreme. It feels soul crushing. It feels so much bigger than it is. So what I thought of was, why not address these barriers and crumble them, destroy them before we go out and we actually try to execute the goal, right? So why don't we ask ourselves, and this is not an easy question to answer, because who wants to sit down and talk about our big, beautiful, incredible goals and then go, why do I think I can't have that, right? It's not a fun thing to do. But when we do this, when you actually, and you write these things down, you write them down, you look at them and you go, okay, here's why I think I can't have it. And you look at that. What you want to do then is you want to remove them. You want to remove them from your mental real estate. This is what I call your mental real estate, right? The space that takes up your mind. You want to remove them. You want to reverse them. You want to rewire your thoughts around all the reasons why you can't have that thing. Because then when you go and you execute on the actual goal, you're not going to run into those barriers in 2, 3, 4, 5 months time. You're going to already have addressed them and have reversed them, right? So it's all around your audience. That's your big barrier, right? So what if, here's how I rewire, here's how I reframe my mind, right? And by the way, if any of you guys, when you're doing this, if you ever cannot think of a reason as to why you don't think you can achieve the goal, you're not thinking hard enough. I promise you, right? Yes, we're all confident people. Yes, we're all confident 90% of the time. Dig deep enough to find those little limiting stories. They are there. I promise you they are there. And address them, find them before you go out and you start going for the goal, okay? First one you said was audience isn't big enough, right? First question I asked myself and that I would ask you, why? Based on what? Based on what you've seen other successful people with audiences have? Based on something you read? Where does that thought originate from?
You really asking me? It's probably, honestly, I think it's uncertainty of how big the audience, or not even how big your audience should be, but uncertainty of like, am I doing the right things? It's not even really about the audience. It's just uncertainty of, am I doing the right things? Because I'm new and, you know, I'm just starting out. Particularly for me, it's, I haven't had a ton of sales calls, but when I have a sales call, it's really, really good. And, you know, I'm closing more than half of them. So I don't need 100 sales calls to close 2 clients then. But I keep thinking, well, I only have, you know, like this week, tomorrow's Friday, I've only had 1 sales call this week and I want 3 or 4 a week. So in my head, I'm going, oh, okay, maybe it's not enough. And the other thing that is, maybe this is what you're getting at, because it's not directly related to the thing, but my fear is, I'm not uncomfortable on social media, I'm actually comfortable on social media but I'm fearful of like, what are people thinking about me? Like I just left my corporate job, right? So there's a little bit of like those people that I've worked with for 15 years, they're seeing me out on social media in a very different person. Like I'm really out there. I'm not as conservative as I was in my corporate job. So I think that I'm fearful a little bit of, am I out there too much? And then I go, well, that's silly. Just get back out there because I haven't found my client yet, this week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what just happened there? I asked you one question. You
Yeah.
came to the conclusion on your own.
Yeah.
You went,
Yeah.
and here's what we actually did. And guys, here's what this new goal setting system does. You peel back the layers until you find the real reason, right? And initially we said, audience. I don't think my audience is big enough. And then she just went, actually, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Here's the real thing underlying. And that's what we need to get to before we go and we execute on the goal, right? We've got to get to what is the real fear behind why you think you can't have it? What is the real thing, right? Once we're able to uncover that, it doesn't take somebody else in your ear asking you to get to the root cause of it. You come full circle very quickly. You come to the point where you just did. You're like, oh, but that's silly. I need to just do it, right? You know it intuitively, you know it in your gut. So it's a matter of uncovering the real reasons, right? That we just did. And that took 5 minutes, right? So, and when we do that, right? I do this all the time as well. So when you do that, you're able to then sit back, you feel a little bit lighter. You're like, okay, had those limiting stories a minute ago. That was silly. I'm good. Let's go. Right? And if you're not, then take more time, right? And do that for each thing. So ask yourself, what is the goal I want next, right? How many clients, how many sales calls this week, et cetera, et cetera. What are all the reasons I think I can't have that? Okay. What are all the reasons I think I cannot have that? If it's 2, if it's 20, write it all down. Then one by one, each thing, look at it, ask yourself, where does that belief come from? Why do I believe that? Right? Based on what? A lot of the reasons why we think we can't have what we want are based on comparison, based on seeing somebody else who's successful achieve it in a different way or achieve it with this that we don't have, right? A lot of it comes from that self-comparison. So we have to identify it though. Otherwise, we're going to be going for those goals, those huge goals that are exciting, and we're going to hit that barrier, hit that roadblock, and it's going to feel massive. It's going to feel huge because we haven't addressed it. We haven't addressed the real fear underlying, right? So my thinking is we get rid of that in the beginning before we go out and we take the action steps and we do the strategy part of it. You've got to do the inner work. You've got to do the clearing per se, right? You've got to clear those silly stories that we know are silly, right? In order to actually go out and execute and do it until the goal happens, right? So that's what I do now. I do it very reversed. I say, what's the thing I want? What are the reasons why I think I can't have it? And I look at those and I rewire my brain around that. And another question I might ask myself, if I had this same, if this was a reason that I thought I couldn't have what I have or what I want, if I said to myself, oh, I don't think I can have X, my audience isn't big enough, I might ask myself, how would I execute on this goal if my audience or if that wasn't true? How would I act? How would I go about working towards this goal if my audience was big enough? And then I act as if, right? See how quickly that changes your entire perspective on it. Let me pick another example. So, okay, this is kind of similar, but so if I believed I couldn't hit my money goal because I don't have enough of the right people in my audience, well, how would I act right now, tomorrow, today, if I did have the right people in my audience? Well, I'd go out, I'd post, I'd do the thing, that's what I would do. And then I act as if, right? So does this make sense to everybody? Is this way of setting goals and hitting? Yeah, good. I find this way more effective than trying to overcome those mindset blocks that come up when you're in the middle, right, of trying to go for a goal. It's way harder
when you've already tried, you're trying, and then these things come up, I promise you, it's way harder to overcome them, way harder. But a lot of people don't realize the reason why it's hard is because you didn't sit down beforehand and figure out what are all the stories I need to get rid of out of my brain in order to go out confidently and do the thing that I want to do, right? So thank you for being my guinea pig.
Sure.
Yeah, so I really lovingly encourage all of you guys to do that from here on out. Set your goals that way and hit your goals that way. You will hit them faster, more effective, and those limiting stories that do come up, before you know it will be natural to catch them as they come up as well, right? It's a practice to be able to identify your own self-sabotage patterns, your own limiting beliefs, right? Catch them right as they come up and talk to them as if they were a toxic friend or a toxic person and say, no, not today, right? How would I act if my audience was enough? What would I do? What would I do right now? How would I go out right now if I did have all the perfect people in my audience? Well, I would go out, I would talk about my offer confidently, I would put it out there. That's what I would do. So I'm going to do that today. I'm going to act as if, right? Until it becomes my reality, right?